What's poppin', y'all? It looks like the news is real, in that Dame Dash, one of the co-founders of Rockefeller Records and part owner of Jay-Z's legendary debut album, Reasonable Doubt, he's going to have his share of Rockefeller Records sold off by the U.S. Marshals at a public auction later this August. And he has a 33.3% share. So when they get into the details of this, I'll explain why I think Drake is one of the more likely candidates that we know to buy it, and potentially some other people, but it would have to be a specific type of individual that would want to buy this. And first, let's get into it. Dame Dash's money problems aren't getting any better because his entire stake in Rockefeller Records is now being auctioned by the feds. According to new legal documents obtained by TMZ, the music mogul who co-founded Rockefeller with Jay-Z and Kareem Burke will have his 33.3% interest in the company sold off at August 29th. The docs say bidders will have to first register to appear at the auction by sending an email to the attorney, and the attorney represents film director Josh Weber, who secured an $800,000 plus civil judgment against Dash for copyright infringement and defamation 2 years ago. Weber and Muddy Water Pictures produced Dear Frank and filed suit against Dash after claiming he went around and told people he owned the rights to the movie even after he was dropped from the project. The court docs specify the purpose of the auction is to collect on the judgment. The docs also note Jay-Z's album Reasonable Doubt is the biggest asset Rockefeller owns. At auction, the minimum bid for Dash's shares cannot be less than $1.2 million. What's more, the purchaser must be able to plunk down a deposit of 20% of the minimum bid, about $250,000 at the time of the sale. You may recall Dash's financial issues stretch all the way back to 2019 when he told a federal court he couldn't pay $2,400 he owed in another lawsuit. I really think TMZ might have it in for this guy, for them to mention that at the last sentence. Dame Dash could afford $2,400. I just don't think he wanted to pay it. I mean, most people could make $2,400. We see, not even rappers, we see people in the sticks that have bail where they need to come up with $3,500 and they can come up with that. So I think he just didn't want to pay. Now, the judgment of $800,000, yeah, I don't think Dame Dash got $800,000, and I don't think if he had it, he'd be willing to part with the cash as opposed to just having them sell off his Reasonable Doubt. But the question becomes, did he put out that post because he wanted to sell it before the Marshals got a hold of it? Did they already have a hold of it? Did he want to talk to somebody privately when he put out that post saying who wants to buy this, serious inquiries only, because he wanted to talk to them and let them know, hey, this is going to go up for auction. If you buy it, we can work out this deal so it comes back to him in the end. I'm not entirely sure, because the only reason they're selling this off is to make the money to be able to pay the judgment that Dame Dash owes to this guy that he got found guilty of copyright infringement. However, the reason why I think Drake might be one of the few candidates is because what it says right here. Rockefeller Records' decisions still require a majority vote, so even if they wanted to make business moves with what they're inheriting from Dame, masters, etc., they probably won't be able to do it very easily, if at all. Keep in mind, this is 33%. So he would need another person, either Kareem or Jay-Z, to sign off on things if they want to license anything, which is the same exact thing that happened to Dame when he tried to make a Reasonable Doubt NFT several years ago, and it got blocked because Kareem and Jay-Z didn't agree, and they got the other 66%. So therefore, Dame was not able to move forward with that. And it also says here, our sources also say this, there's also an expiration date on the master ownership for the company, which means revenue and the only asset doesn't have many years left. The crown jewel of Dame Dash's stake is said to be Jay-Z's and the company's debut album Reasonable Doubt. But as our sources outlined, soundtracking or licensing the music would be impossible without Jay and Rock's other co-owner, Kareem Burke's approval. And from the sounds of it, they're a bit cagey on that. So if someone wants to think, okay, I'm going to buy this and make some money off it, it's very unlikely, and it's probably a big headache for them to make money off of it, unless they're already cool with Kareem and Jay, which is unlikely. And if they are, who knows if Kareem and Jay will agree to make money in certain ways, because it makes Jay-Z's image look a certain type of way, and he would have to consider that. This is where, and keep in mind, the master expires, the master ownership for the company, and that includes Jay-Z's debut album Reasonable Doubt, which is probably why maybe Jay-Z didn't really care to purchase it. But the problem therein lies is that who is going to want to buy this? It's kind of someone that just doesn't care if they burn the money just so they have this token of, yeah, I own this piece of hip-hop history. Even if the Masters expires after a certain while, I own a piece of Rockefeller, and I own a piece of Jay-Z's album, Reasonable Doubt. I really think the only person that would get something like this is Jay-Z, or not Jay-Z, is Drake, to where he can say, I wouldn't be surprised if he makes himself a Rockefeller chain. That seems something Drake would do. Makes himself a Rockefeller chain, dons it. But I think if Drake were to cop this, he would try to show as much respect as possible. The guy looks up to Jay. I don't think he would do anything bad, but it would be a flexing moment where he could come at people and say, yo, I own a part of Jay-Z's first album. That's something historic, especially for a hip-hop historian, which Drake is, and a lover of hip-hop, which Drake is, and obsessed with its history and memorabilia. Jay-Z's first album is a big deal. And for someone else to drop a couple of million, or let's just say 2 million, that is, we could potentially say is just lit on fire, that you're not going to make money back from, that's something that we've only seen Drake do something like that. Anybody else, they're probably looking for, hey, this will probably have returns later in the future. Maybe I could license it, which we've already seen is going to be very difficult. Like the jewelry that Drake bought from Pharrell, man, nobody's buying that off of him for a higher price. Hell, I could be wrong. I may have to eat my words later on, but I don't think that's what he was thinking when he bought it. I think he just thought, hey, this costs a couple $1 million or $1 million. Yeah, $1 million. I'll buy it. I was a big Pharrell fan, and I get to take shots at him because I own his jewelry. Sure, why not? I think that's Drake's thought process. And it may be the same here because there has been this, not rivalry that he has with Jay-Z, but I feel like he's always looked at Jay-Z as this target that he wanted to meet. And some would say he's met the target. When it comes to rapping ability, when it comes to writing all your raps, of course he hasn't met the target. Let's be real here. However, he has had longevity in his career, Drake that is, and he hasn't had gaps in the way that Jay-Z has had. Keep in mind, though, Jay-Z reached a different type of level within the industry and has had other artists underneath him. Drake does not have a Kanye West, not even close to it. And if he did, he probably would just keep it to himself, which Jay-Z was trying to do in the beginning when Kanye was a producer, but that didn't pan out too well. So I'm interested to see who buys this up. Will it be Drake? I don't know. There could be politics behind the scenes, not anything gang related, but some people might say, hey, you buying this looks a certain type of way now, so you should avoid it, which I think Drake would listen because he has respect for people that will give him this type of insight. But I would like to see somebody get their hands, well, we will see somebody get their hands on it. It's just a matter of who. And I'm not saying I'd rather it be Drake, but I'd rather the storyline after Drake gets it to pan out because that will be the most entertaining option, and that's what I'm looking for. So you guys let me know what you think in the comments. Like and subscribe and hit the notification bell if you enjoyed. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Thank you for watching. Peace.